We reached a final resolution with all the i's dotted and all the t's crossed. The bills are being printed. The respective leaders are presenting the final details to their conferences on the Assembly side and the Senate side. And we want to bring you an update at this time as to what's actually in the budget. The budget is obviously for year 2016-2017. I am very excited about this budget. We call it a budget. Really, it's an overall operating plan for the state of New York. And I believe that this is the best plan that the state has produced, if it's passed, in decades, literally. To begin with, the budget is designed to stimulate the economy and raise the minimum wage. There's been a lot of talk about raising the minimum wage, and raising the minimum wage in and of itself is a very progressive, very fair and appropriate initiative. Remember, the minimum wage law was passed by FDR, who was a great governor of New York. Concept was we value work, and if you work full-time, you should have a decent living. That was the concept of FDR. The current minimum wage in the state of New York, although we've raised it in the past, in our opinion, does not afford one the ability to lead a decent life. You can't lead a decent life. You can't raise a family on $18,000 a year in the state of New York. So we want to raise the minimum wage, which in and of itself would affect 2.3 million workers. At the same time, raising the minimum wage can be a stimulative factor for the economy. You can actually increase economic performance by raising the minimum wage. Why? Because it puts more money into the economy. You give a person on a minimum wage a raise, you know what they do with it? They spend it. They don't put it in the bank, they need it. On the current minimum wage, it would be about a $15 billion injection into the economy. So, when you look at the past times that the minimum wage has been raised, the economy has actually increased because of the raise in the minimum wage. Employment has actually increased. The key then is calibration. And you have this political debate, well, raising the minimum wage is good for the economy, well, raising the minimum wage is bad for the economy. The question is really the calibration of the increase in the minimum wage. If you increase it at the right rate, all experts will agree that it can be a positive for the economy overall. If you increase it too quickly, people have a fear that it could have a negative impact. So what is the right calibration? You ask 5 different economists, you'll get 5 different answers. Why? Because they're all forecasting what they believe is going to happen in the future. They're all looking at their crystal balls saying, in 5 years this, in 7 years this. If anyone really knew what the economy was doing in 5 or 7 years, they would be billionaires and they would be sitting on the beach, right? So what we've designed is a calibration mechanism that can be adjusted in the future when you know what the economy is doing in the future. And a calibration mechanism that understands there is no one state economy. There are variations in our economy. And in some areas of the state, the economy is more robust. In some areas of the state, it's less robust. So a calibration mechanism that is attuned to the regional variations in the state. So where we came out, which is what we've been talking about through the week, New York City, 3 years to $15. The one new addition, for those of you who've been watching every day, is in New York City, we extended from 3 to 4 years the length of time for businesses with fewer than 10 employees to get to $15. That, frankly, has been the major adjustment during the week. Long Island and Westchester is 6 years, which is what we have been discussing. The rest of New York State, upstate, as we've been referring to it, in 5 years to $12.50, and then indexed to $15. At what index? At an index to be determined as the appropriate calibration at the time by the Division of Budget. So in 5 years, you're at $12.50. At that point, you will assess the economy in upstate New York, the strength of the economy in upstate New York. You will determine what rate of increase for the minimum wage is best suited to continue to grow the upstate economy. I am very proud that as governor, I have spent more time and resources helping upstate New York than probably any governor in history, believe it or not. Between the Regional Economic Development Councils, the Buffalo Billion, the URI project, et cetera, we have a tremendous investment in upstate New York. It is working very well. We believe the increase in the minimum wage can help the upstate economy, but again, it's all about that calibration. And this is the smartest, safest way to go about it, in my opinion. To $12.50, and then an index which will be determined by the Division of Budget, based on economic factors at the time. Beginning in 2019, the state can suspend the scheduled increases if the economic conditions warrant, okay? This is a safety valve that is basically a further extension of the calibration. You want to increase it at the right rate, and if the economy turns, you want to be able to pause it, have a safety valve. Again, the economic forecast is not just the economic forecast for this state, it's what is the economy of the nation doing in 3, 4, 5 years? What is the international economy doing in 3, 4, 5 years? Nobody really knows. If the economy turns, we'll have the ability to suspend the minimum wage so we don't hurt a slowing economy.